I did the 18-inch journey in 2011. At the time, I was in my mid-20s, living in Portland, Oregon, and I had spent several years chasing my dream as an artist and musician in the city. But I was spread thin, and I was tired of constantly running from music gigs and social work, church life, creative projects, relationships. No matter how much I filled my life and my itinerary, it felt like I was trying and failing to connect all the dots. I can still remember in that time the growing desperation I was feeling in my soul. No matter what I put my hand to, everything felt so disjointed. And that was met with this growing pressure system of what should I be doing? What could I be doing? What would God want me to do? And what's my responsibility? The more I stacked the weight, the heavier it got. And it got to this point where I realized that God wasn't asking me to do all of those things, but God was coming to ask me a question. And when I began to let him ask me those questions, I started to realize how deep my need was to feel seen, to feel known, to feel connected. Instead, I felt lost. I felt alone. I needed help to connect what I knew about God with the experience I was having. When I applied for the 18-inch journey, I was met immediately with the sound of disqualifying voices. Questions came like a flood. Who are you to think you could do this? Can you really take that much time out? Where's the money gonna come from? How are you gonna explain this to people? 2 whole months? Are you serious? These were just some of the questions that came up for me, and they were met with some of my own fear of getting my hopes up and getting disappointed. Yet again, the more I let myself get honest and press into these very questions and voices, the more God met me, and I found myself surprised at his provision. When I arrived at the 18-inch journey, all my fears were put to rest. I was met by the warmth and the presence of Jesus, and the eye contact, and the presence of the staff and community of the 18-inch journey. I'll never forget going to bed after the very first day ended, pulling out my journal and writing, I don't know how I'll explain to people what this is. And if someone asked me what I experienced here tomorrow, I guess I would just tell them that I experienced a taste of what heaven must be like. Over the next 2 months, I felt pressure begin to fall off of my shoulders, weight I had been carrying as I gave into the atmosphere of love. I felt the noise of life that I had carried into the school begin to fall away as I encountered the voice of Jesus again. I felt like I could hear my heart beating again, and all of those things that I felt like God had expected of me or asked me to carry began to shift as I became rooted in the truth about his nature. And it started to affect deeper places than I expected. Little by little by little, with my permission, God was rebuilding a bridge from my head to my heart, and all he wanted was my yes. Today, I'm a husband, a father, an artist, a leader, and I don't do life alone. Each day I live in the fruit of choices I've made to live in partnership with him and fellowship with others. The 18-inch journey is a kingdom collision, and I'll forever be grateful for my choice to say yes.
Hey everyone, I'm JD Gravitt. I did my 18-inch journey in 2010. I was 22, I had just graduated from business school, and life was coming fast. People were asking me a lot of questions like, what are you gonna do after you graduate? Or have you applied for jobs? And I honestly was like, I don't even know who I am. I felt like a house with no foundation. Looking back, I really just needed a season to explore my identity. I needed space. And when I came to the 18-inch journey, I learned something amazing about the life of Jesus that really impacted me. I learned that Jesus was dependent on the Father. Jesus was defined by the voice of the Father. Before Jesus did anything in ministry, the Father said, "This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased." And this just went opposite to everything I had experienced, because I was like in school, I was moving forward, I was trying to do a lot of things, but I didn't know who I was. Jesus was defined, he was the beloved. I was like, whoa, if Jesus is the beloved, that means I'm the beloved. And that definition of who I was, that affirmation of my identity began to change everything. I began to be defined by the voice of the Father instead of what I did. 10 years later, I am still choosing to be defined by the voice of the Father. I'm a husband now, I'm a father now, and having a family can be really demanding. If I did it alone, and if I did it without knowing who I am, it would be impossible. But I don't have to. I can be a husband and I can be a father by first being a son, by first being defined by the Father who says, you are my beloved. Then out of that place, out of being like, I am the beloved of the Father, I get to love my wife. I get to love my kids. The demands on my attention and what I need to give them, I first get to receive from the Father. I get to receive from Him before I pour out. And that's made all the difference in my life. The 18-inch journey taught me to build a life on the foundation of who the Father says I am.
Hi, my name is Jono Macsorley. I am from the UK, and I did the 18-inch journey in 2014. At the time, I had just finished college, was working a simple job, really plugged into church and ministry life. However, I was starting to recognize a deficit in my life. Though I felt like I was doing a lot of the right things, I couldn't seem to get a handle on what was actually happening inside of me. I desperately wanted to have a deep, authentic walk with God that touched every part of my life, but I couldn't seem to make that happen, and I felt really alone in my effort. Looking back, I can see I was trying really hard to fix things on my own and perform my way through my life. What I really needed was to stop pretending and let the people in my life and the Father really see me and know me. My greatest fear was that the journey would confirm that I don't have what it takes. Confronting that was really scary. The idea of slowing down sounded nice and romantic, but in actuality it required courage to stop and take an honest look at what was really going on. When I arrived, what surprised me the most was how much compassion I was met with. Instead of being punished or rejected, I felt like my journey was an introduction to the God of compassion, who understands me, who empathizes with me, who actually wants to be my friend and my helper. Transformation looked much less like trying to be perfect and more like making the choice to receive that love and that mercy. And I'm still making that choice today. In a couple of months, I'm getting married. I'm currently working a job that I love in a small business. I'm part of an amazing community. But in these beautiful things, there's pressure. However, that pressure is producing more dependency on the Lord, deeper, more satisfying connection. Doing the journey was definitely one of the most pivotal moments of my story. It taught me that I'm never alone and that I'll never outgrow my need for the Father.
Hey everyone, my name's Ryan. I'm from California and I did my 18-inch journey in 2018. When I applied, I was 4 years out of college. I had a job, I had an apartment, I was actively involved in church, and honestly, those things just weren't adding up to happiness or contentment. I felt like I was on a path to inevitable burnout. The idea of the 18-inch journey sounded really nice, but honestly, even up until I arrived, my greatest fear was that it wasn't going to work, that I'd spend 2 months in the woods and find out it was just another mountaintop experience. I'd go home and everything would be exactly the same. Everything shifted for me within the first week. We were talking about the lies we believe about ourselves and about God, and I remember reading the words, "I am what I do." And it just clicks for me. This is what I've been believing my entire life. This is why everything I do feels like it adds up to me not feeling like I'm enough. And I remember thinking, gosh, if I believe that I am what I do, then if I make a mistake, which inevitably is going to happen, it means that I'm a mistake. And this is what's got me on this path to burnout. The belief that I was offered instead was this belief that what God has to say about me is actually truer than what I have to say about me. And I remember thinking, like, if I can believe this, if I can make this choice, then I can actually go home. And it's not my job that's defining me or my relationships. It's not even my involvement in church that's defining me. I'm actually making the choice to believe that I'm defined by what my Father says about me. Where I am today is realizing that this is an everyday choice. I didn't just sign up for a 2-month school. I signed up for a lifetime of making powerful decisions with the Father. It's been 3 years since I did my 18-inch journey, and for the first time in my life, I'm not on a path to burnout. Today, I'm more like the man I dreamed of becoming when I said yes to the journey, and my life is full of purpose and meaning and vision for my future.